Hello and welcome to Study with Sudhir. My name is T.S. Sudhir and we are in this video, in this set of videos, going to study the Federalism chapter, which is part of the CBSE Class 10 Democratic Politics textbook of NCERT dealing with civics or political science. So, social science with SWS for you to understand in detail what exactly are we talking about, and more importantly, how is the country run? What system does the country actually operate on? Let me bring my table a little closer. Okay, shall we get started? Now, we have already studied the chapter relating to power sharing. So you are familiar with the examples of Sri Lanka and Belgium that we dealt with in chapter on power sharing. Now, when we come to federalism, let's understand the definition first. Federalism means when power is divided between a central authority like the government of India that you have now. I'll keep giving examples for you to make it for you to understand better, and the various constituent units across the country, the different state governments in particular, the central government, and let's say the government of Karnataka, the government of Andhra Pradesh, the government of Jharkhand, the government of Himachal Pradesh, right? Sri Lanka, whose example that we saw in chapter on power sharing, it follows a unitary system where national government in Colombo has all the powers. The state provinces do not have the powers that the powers at the center in Colombo have, like they have in India, where it is a federal system. The state governments also have some powers. The central government also has some powers, which is why the Tamil leaders in Sri Lanka want Sri Lanka to become a federal system wherein they also have the rights to decide on issues which concern their local people, especially the ethnic Tamil minority in Sri Lanka, about which we studied in chapter 1. Okay. Now, in Belgium, it's slightly different. In 1993, Belgium gave powers to regional governments, okay, and they shifted from a unitary to a federal form of government. So Belgium, so you have now three examples: India's, whose example I gave, Sri Lanka, which refused to change, and Belgium, which has changed. Okay, now what happens in a federal structure is what you need to understand. In a federal structure, the central government is responsible for all subjects of common national interest. What is common national interest, you may ask? Defense is common national interest, but natural. Finance is natural interest. The currency, every state government cannot have its own currency, can it? No. External affairs is national interest, right? Internal security is national interest, right? So these are matters of communications is another important national interest. So state or the provincial governments look after day-to-day administration in their areas. Okay, law and order in a state will be looked after by the state government. There the center will not intervene. So both levels of government enjoy their power independent of the other. You know, कि तुम्हारे सब्जेक्ट्स को देख लो, हम हमारे सब्जेक्ट्स को देख लेते हैं. We will not interfere in each other's territories. Okay. The unitary system, on the other hand, only one level of government or the subunits are subordinate to the central government. There is either only one level of government which rules the entire country, or there would be the subunits which will be Ji Huzur to the main central government. They will be subordinate to the central government, and the central government can order the state governments, do this, do that. They don't have their independent powers in that sense. Understood? In federal structure, however, the central government cannot order the state governments. Please remember this, cannot order the state governments. State governments have their own powers and they are not answerable to the central government. Please remember this difference between the unitary and the federal government. Make a table, write it on both sides so that it's easy for you to retain and remember. Both governments, the central government and the state governments, are separately answerable to the people. In an election, like we have state elections and Lok Sabha elections, right? So in both elections, the two governments are respectively and separately answerable to the people of India or of that particular state. For example, now you're going to have elections in Himachal Pradesh. You're going to have elections in Gujarat. In 2023, you will have elections to Karnataka, to Telangana, etc. So in each of the states, the state government will be answerable for what did you do for the last 5 years, right? So that will be important, right? When the Lok Sabha election takes place in 2024, the Modi Sarkar will give answers to what they did for the last 5 years from 2019 to 2024. Features of federalism. The first aspect is there are either two or more tiers of government. Okay. Central government, state government, and below there could be more local governments like it is in the case in India. Each tier has its own jurisdiction. What is the meaning of jurisdiction? कि ये मेरा territory है. Government of Gujarat will look after whatever needs to happen in the state of Gujarat. The government of Bihar will look after whatever is to happen within the state of territorial area of the state of Bihar. Okay. The existence and the authority of each tier is guaranteed by the constitution. The constitution says that the government of Maharashtra has the right to adjudicate, do whatever within the state of Maharashtra. State of Maharashtra cannot go and make laws for the state of Madhya Pradesh. It may not say that ये हमारा पड़ोसी इलाका है मैं इसके लिए बनाता हूं. No. You decide the rules of your house. Do you make the rules for your padosi's house? You don't do that, right? Same way. Fundamental provisions cannot be altered by any level of government. Whatever fundamental rights, fundamental duties, etc. are enshrined in the constitution, they cannot be changed by any level of government. The Supreme Court can, however, intervene if disputes arise between different tiers of government. State of Kerala and state of Karnataka have a dispute. Who intervenes? Kerala High Court or Karnataka High Court cannot. It will be decided by the Supreme Court. The sources of revenue are clearly specified to ensure financial autonomy. That this will be your source of revenue. Okay, the state governments will get this share from the center. See, we pay taxes, everything goes into the central pool. From the central pool, it comes to the states, right? So it is all decided. This percentage will be given to this state. Okay, depending on population, depending on economic status, socio-economic status, everything. There are different parameters on which these things are decided. Okay. Always there is a feeling that, states give much more and the center gives much less to the states. Objectives and within India also, states in like South Indian states feel that they give much more, but they get much less in return. Whereas the states in North India, UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, etc. contribute much less, but they get much more in return. There's always that feeling that, we are the ones who are actually running the country in many ways. Objectives of federal system: to safeguard and promote the unity of the country. Okay. The idea is to safeguard and promote the unity, this federal structure, when center, state, and various tiers of government work together to accommodate regional diversity. That you accommodate everything. It's not like, one person or one government at the center decides what is to be done in any part of the country. The government sitting at the center in New Delhi cannot decide for what is to be done in a small village in Tamil Nadu. That's the job of the local panchayat, not even that of the state government, which is why the 3 tiers of governance. Okay. And it depends on mutual trust that, there is mutual trust, there is mutual understanding, there is mutual respect कि ये तुम्हारा इलाका है, ये तुम्हारा territory है, this is your jurisdiction, this is what you will do, this is what I will do. Okay, so these things are very clearly defined by the Constitution of India. I hope it's clear till now. There are 2 kinds of federation. One is the coming together federation and the other is the holding together federation. Holding together federation and the coming together federation. Let's understand what are the differences between the two, and that's why I put it in a tabular format so that it's easy for you. Coming together federation means independent states come together to form a bigger unit. Okay, and here states have equal power as the central government. Okay, and it increases their security, right? They feel by pulling together and retaining identity, they can increase their security. They are independent units in themselves. And which are the countries which follow this coming together federation? United States of America. It's 50 states, United States of America. We are not United States of India. These are United States of America. Okay. Australia, Switzerland, these are the coming together federation kinds of federations. The holding together federations are where the country divides powers between the states and the national government. Okay, where the center is slightly more powerful than the states. And that is because so that to preserve the unity of the country, states should not say that, we want to go out and become an independent country. India, Spain, Belgium are the holding together kind of federation. This is an important aspect that you would need to know. Now, India as a federal country. Now, Constitution of India calls India a union of states. Okay, but it's not the same as the United States of America. The word federation is not mentioned anywhere in the Constitution, but India is based on the principles of federalism. Please remember this. Federation word has not been mentioned anywhere in the Indian Constitution framed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. But it is based on the principles of federalism. And there is a three-tier system of governance. Okay, that is again very important. Right? So you have the central government, you have the state government, central or union government, and then you have the panchayats in the rural areas, you have municipalities or municipal corporations in the urban areas. So this is the three-tier. Union government to make laws for the country, state governments to look after individual states, law and order, irrigation, agriculture, health, etc. is looked after by the state government, and lower down panchayats in the rural areas, in the villages, and municipalities and municipal corporations in the urban areas to look after the needs like roads, drainage, parks, sanitation. All these things are taken care of by the municipalities and the municipal corporations. Now, here we are to talk about three different kinds of lists. Okay, what are these lists that we are talking about? There is the union list, there is the state list, and then there is something called the concurrent list. What the Constitution did was to say on these subjects, this central government will frame laws. On these subjects, the state governments can frame laws. And then there is a concurrent list on which both can frame laws. Okay, so right now, and this number has gone on changing. So right now there are 100 subjects which are in the union list. Defense, foreign affairs, the ones which I mentioned, banking, because there is a need for uniform policy. A Kerala and an Uttar Pradesh cannot have different laws of their own on matters concerning defense. Can they? Kerala cannot say coastal security pe mera policy ye hai. Okay, and Orissa cannot say, but coastal route pe mera policy ye hai. It cannot say. It has to be uniform because it concerns what? It concerns the defense of the country, the security of the country. So such matters are decided only by the union government. So this comes under the union list. State list has 61 subjects of state and local importance. This includes agriculture, irrigation, law and order, health. And state government alone can make laws on these subjects. On a matter like, say, law and order of a state like, say, Chhattisgarh, the central government cannot make laws. It does not come into the union list. It will be the state government which will make the laws. Concurrent list, it includes 52 subjects of common interest to union. So jitne subjects hain, please remember this, to union and state governments, and it includes education, which means both central and the state government can make laws. Forests, both can make laws. And if these laws, suppose the law made by the government of Telangana is against the law made by the government of India, the law made by the union government will prevail. Why? Because it is a higher authority. It has more MPs. So that's why the central government law will prevail. Then there is something called residuary subject. Residuary, the word comes from the word residue. Residue is something apne chemistry mein padha hoga, which is left behind. What is left behind? So whatever is left behind by these three lists, because the makers of the Constitution were aware that we are framing this Constitution in the year 1950. 75 years hence, there will be lots of changes which we may not even think about at this point in time, which is why the numbers have gone on changing, right? So the union government, for anything which is not there in any of these three lists, union, state and concurrent list, the union government has the power to bring legislation on any subject which is not there in any of the three lists. That will be called the residuary subjects. For instance, in 1950, there was nothing called computers. So how do you expect Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and his team to have thought about it? So anything related to IT, cyber security, the union government will make laws. समझ में आ गया? Now, the India will live in, I like this title. There is something called special category status. There are 10 states right now which have the special category status. Basically, it is to help these states with the resources to remove their economic backwardness. These states need help, a helping hand from the central government in order to kind of be more helpful to the people who live in these states. 10 states, these include Manipur, Mizoram, Uttarakhand, Nagaland, etc. There are many states like Andhra Pradesh, after bifurcation in 2014, has been demanding special category status. Okay, because it thought after bifurcation it had lost a lot because of bifurcation. Hyderabad went to Telangana, so it did not have any kind of resources to attract industrial investment. Then there is something called union territories. They are too small to be a state, but could not be merged with any other state because of various reasons, linguistic reasons, geographical reasons, etc. Lakshadweep, which is there in the Arabian Sea, Chandigarh, which is a common capital of Punjab and Haryana. Here, the central government has special powers. There is Dadar and Nagar Haveli, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, right? The central government appoints a lieutenant governor or an administrator. Say for cities like union territories like Lakshadweep, he's called the administrator. Puducherry and Delhi is called the lieutenant governor. Okay, so union territories are slightly different from states. Please know what is the difference between a state and a union territory. Then it comes to the sharing of power. Now, it is not easy to make changes to this power sharing arrangement. Only if Parliament passes by 2/3 majority and half of the states ratify it, only then some changes in this entire federal structure can be made. So it's not very easy for anyone to make those kind of changes. And in case of any dispute over division of powers, the High Courts and Supreme Court make the decision, and judiciary's role is to oversee the implementation, that is to supervise the implementation of constitutional provisions, जो भी constitution के अंदर लिखा गया है, and procedures. That is the job of the judiciary. I hope you have understood till here. We pause part 1 of this particular video out here. In part 2, I will deal with the remaining part of the chapter. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you.